So I'm just recording now, and then yeah, feel free to kind of introduce yourself and talk about what you've been working on.
Of course. So my name is Nikita, and I have been working on AI-powered Gmail plugin. So it's me and my husband. Both of us are doing it together. So he is the developer, and I have been taking care of the marketing, sales, and distribution as well. So that's how I started using Indie Hackers and Product Hunt, and so these were very new platforms for me. I didn't know a lot about. I didn't know about Product Hunt as such. So yeah, so slowly I got into it, and now I've been exploring all different sorts of platforms, and yeah, trying to market it as well. So we will be launching in a month. We have already launched it in the coming soon page of Product Hunt. So yeah, and yeah, I've been exploring ChatGPT and this AI space a little bit more now, trying to understand it a little bit better. So yeah, and yeah, so our product is basically Gmail plugin. So can I also share my screen maybe? So
yeah, yeah, just that third icon. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So can you see?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, great. So so basically what we are doing is, so let's assume that you have a lot of customer queries, and a lot of customers, send you mail every day, and you do have to sit down and answer all those mails, right? For each mail you spend a lot of time. You curate a mail, and you form a professional mail, format it and everything, right? So with Buzzmail, what you will be doing is, let's take an example of this mail. So this is a mail received by a customer, maybe asking for a refund because the product received was damaged or something like that, right? So what happens is you go here, the Buzzmail plugin. It will be in your Gmail app itself. It also works with every browser, all your desktop browsers. It also works with your mobile app. So, a lot of people do prefer using Gmail through their phones, right? So you just click on Buzzmail here, and the message which the customer might have sent, or anybody might have sent, the message will be, redirected here automatically, right? Then you can generate a reply. So you maybe like you can click on generate reply, and within like few seconds it will read the message, and it will find a suitable, a contextual reply to your mail right here. So thank you for bringing this issue to our attention, and we understand your request for a full refund for the purchase along with any shipping and handling fees, and everything. So right now it's taking my name here because this is through my email, but it will definitely take up the name which is mentioned for the receiver and the person who's sending it as well. Also, you can like edit your mail here as well, right? So let's say here, we'll process the refund as soon as possible. If you want to change that in, let's say, 5 days, so that happens, right? So you have to you can edit the email from here itself, and it hardly took like 10 seconds, right? So you select the reply. You don't have to copy, you don't have to paste it anywhere. As soon as you select the reply, it will be redirected again to your the send, the draft basically, right? Then you want to edit it here again or not, irrespective, you just send it. That's it. So
wow,
this is
really nice.
Yeah, so this is what Buzzmail does. So we have been working on this, and so let's say if you don't like this reply, right? Let's say you want another reply. You also have an option of generate again, so it will generate another reply for you. So let's try that as well. So yes, so as soon as you generate again, there will be another reply that might suit your taste, or you can also edit it according to your language or your way, your style of writing, right? So it's a very, very, so the replies that are generated are pretty professional. They're very in a very professional format as well. So, you don't have to worry about formatting or grammatical errors or anything. That if you want to edit something a little bit pieces, then definitely you can. So yes, this is Buzzmail, and this is what we have been doing.
I love it. I love it. And just as you have that up, so I have a few questions. I can see where it's very useful, especially for customer service agents, direct
Right.
like frontline sales staff. Makes a lot of sense. A couple of questions that I have is, how did you know? How does it know what to respond with? Typically, with some of these AIs, you'll have a prompt that you ask it. So you'll input. You'll say, "Hey, here's the email text," and then you give it a prompt. You say, "Okay, like provide a response that is positive or negative, or write it in a fun tone or a more serious tone." Are there abilities to see what the attributes of the prompt are? Because then you would know as kind of a user of Buzzmail, you would know
Mm-hmm.
what you were telling the AI to kind of goal seek.
Okay, so the AI is basically, the prompt is the incoming mail. This mail that we received from the customer has been given as a prompt, and it is generating a reply, a formal reply. So we have not introduced tone as of now. So we're keeping it very formal as of right now. So it will generate a formal reply to whatever email has been received. So we're not giving prompts each time. This is the prompt, the incoming mail, the mail that we have received is the prompt.
Is there and a lot of the I guess the questions I have is, I can understand where you are right now. It makes a lot of sense, right? So and then I guess the question is kind of, maybe for version two, maybe it might be useful to say, hey, here's the response. And then even with a popular thing that we talked about in this group, the ChatGPT group, is the idea of prompt chaining. So the idea that right now you can, just like when you interact with Google, you'll send Google a search query and it will give you a list of results. Same with ChatGPT, you'll give it an input and it will return a result. But where it starts to separate itself a little bit is this idea of prompt chaining, right? So you give it one prompt and then you'll read the response and you'll say, hey, I wanted actually to be in a lighter hearted tone, or I want to be funnier, or things like that. So is there plans to kind of have, like, when you have that original buzz mail, right? I'm not looking to regenerate. I don't want to regenerate the whole thing. I can understand where, like, I really appreciate that you can edit it on the spot, because there might be like one or two pieces that I want to that I'd like to edit, as you wrote in, kind of add 5 days. Then there's also the scenario where you're just saying, hey, like, this was written in too serious of a tone, so can you make the entire message more lighthearted? So there might be a way to chain your prompts where the response comes in, and then you can update it for a second or third prompt.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is, maybe I don't want to maybe change the reply entirely, but I might want to change the tone of the reply. Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. So the entire reply needs to change, but the entire reply, I would just say, hey, like, make this more lighthearted, or make this funnier, or write it in 50 words instead of 120 words. Things
Right.
like that.
So we definitely have thought of introducing tone, the mood of the tone or the mood of the email reply, definitely. But we did not think of introducing the word limit, which can also be done, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We can give them option for, maybe introducing, they can write down how many words of email reply they want, and that can be probably done. But
I
yes,
think
we have definitely thought of mood and tone.
the power of ChatGPT is, and what's the AI that you're using on the back end? Are you using DaVinci O2, or what are you guys using for the AI?
Vinci.
DaVinci?
Yes.
Yeah. So the nice thing about it is I like the idea that Buzzmail can give suggestions. So I could say, hey, like, here are 3 things that you typically might want to do. And, like, you could, on buttons, you could say, like, make it more lighthearted, or summarize in fewer words, or add more detail to the response. But then the benefit of ChatGPT is that if you give people an open input box, they can actually start to they can have almost a saved list of prompt updates that they give it. So they say, hey, like just, okay, thank you for the response. And one of my most popular prompt updates is to, I don't know, capitalize every other word, just saying something crazy, right? But then they can have like almost a short list of prompts, and you can have an open input field where they can write in anything, because you don't really want, like, the benefit of AI is that you don't necessarily want to control what the user is doing. You want to give them suggestions, but the real benefit and the real power of AI is that it's so flexible that even as a developer, it's hard to imagine all the use cases. It's actually impossible. Like it's crazy how many new, even we'll talk about it in this call, but there are so many even websites now to aggregate the best AI tools, because everyone is coming up with AI ideas these days. Yeah. And so it's really
sent a link on the group, right? Today, I think somebody sent that link, and I checked it out.
Yeah.
That was quite interesting. There were so many AI tools.
Yeah, totally right. So that, and then I also noticed that you had something called buy coins. And what is the buy coins?
Right. So basically, what we are planning is we're not going to have a monthly subscription. This will be pay per use. So we'll give them coins that they can recharge for in their wallet, and as they generate reply, so counting the number of words, the coins will be deducted. So something like that. So there are a lot of times. Let's take December, right? Nobody works during December. A lot of people are not working in December, right? But their monthly subscription goes to waste. So that wouldn't be the case with Buzzmail. So and not everybody uses a lot of these tools, right? Some a lot of people have very limited usage, but they do want the privilege to use it. They do want the ease, right? So this will sort of save some money for them as well, and it will have a very clear picture of counting the number of words. The coins will be deducted, something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like what we're talking about is why you're doing a pay per use instead of a subscription model. And it seems like you're saying it because people use email at different rates during different times of the year, things like that. That makes a lot of sense. I would also imagine that you have a bit of a free tier at the start too, so people can kind of get used to the platform, and then ideally once they get good at it and they're used to it, it's part of their workflow, then you start to charge a little bit more, because obviously you guys need to be paid for the work that you're doing as well.
Definitely. So
one thing that I was thinking about is that, do you have what's the easiest way for people, and I guess you're still in beta right now, but where do you expect people to discover your platform? How are you going to find new customers, things like that?
So right now we've launched on Product Hunt. I have curated a list of different platforms like AppSumo, and there are a few more. So
right.
So that's where I have been trying to promote it.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey Rick, we're just I guess getting through the lion's share of Nikita's app. She has a Google Gmail plugin called is it BuzzMe, Nikita? Buzzmail. And Buzzmail is a kind of a ChatGPT or AI response tool and plugin for Gmail, where you can take an email that you receive and it will automatically generate a reply for you, which then you can kind of in one click respond to people, saving you the hassle of kind of writing out long response emails all the time. And her and her husband have been building it for a bit, and it seems like they're going to be launching in about a month.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Hi Rick.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. That's a useful plugin. That's really cool. Okay.
And Nikita, if you want to share your screen again, you can kind of show Rick.
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go back. So I will pick. Okay. So let's say there is a customer asking you about their delivery because they were expecting a delivery yesterday, but they haven't received the delivery. They've been asking about basically they're taking an update on their delivery, right? So this is a mail that you get from a customer, let's say. So instead of instead of writing an entire email, formatting an entire email and spending some time on it, what you do is it's a plugin. It will be there right there on your Gmail app. Also, by the way, it works with all the browsers, desktop browsers, mobile browsers, and it'll also work with a mobile app, your Gmail mobile app. So you click on Buzzmail, it will read this message. It'll take this message as prompt. You generate reply, and as soon as you generate reply, it will give like a contextual, suitable reply for the email, right? So here, thank you for getting in touch with us regarding your delivery inquiry. We apologize for inconvenience caused. We would be glad to assist you with this, and things like that. And it's asking about other details, the package number, things like that. And then let's say you find this reply suitable, right? You select this reply. You don't have to copy and paste it. You select this reply, and it will be redirected directly to your reply box, and then you send it, right? But let's say for some reason you do not like this reply, you generate it again. You can get another reply, another suitable reply for the same mail. And
that's useful.
Yeah, also
totally.
you can this is GPT.
One thing that Rick we were talking about too is the idea of prompt chaining, as you and I and some of the other guys have been talking about. And so one thing you could see here where it's like you get the reply and then you chain a couple other prompts to it, saying like summarize this a little bit more, make it a lighter hearted tone, things like that. Instead of a full like generate again, you have a little bit more nuance to what the regeneration could look like.
Right. So we generate again, and then you get another reply. But yes, that's a very good suggestion, Chris. We can actually, something like you select it here, and then you can change the tone. You can just delete it, or maybe you want to add a little bit different reply to that particular sentence, and add maybe 2 or 3 sentences. That can be done, right? And
that's a cool idea. Actually, on that, Nikita, that's a cool idea too. So say for instance that second paragraph, if you highlighted that second paragraph, if you could kind of like right click on it and say rewrite, then you could say just rewrite this section. The other sections were too complex, or the other sections were great. This one would be a good one to rewrite.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So then you can edit it here as well, right? Something like this. So whatever you want to edit, you can edit. You can select reply, and then you can send it directly. So basically, you're not copy pasting. You're not switching in between tabs. You are not switching in between any of the websites. Everything is there in your Gmail. So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's very nice. Very nice. I like it a lot. I think the biggest thing, Nikita, is that with so many developers that we come across, the one is to kind of build the product, and then in this new world where it almost seems like a bit of a race for AI, where there's all these new AI products coming out, it's kind of like, how do you separate yourself? How do you differentiate yourself? And so obviously I'm more than happy to kind of like push this interview. We can chop this up and kind of post this elsewhere, but I'm very interested in learning about, in addition to kind of product hunt and kind of these indie hackers, what are your other kind of strategies for kind of getting the word out? How do you see yourself separating from some of the other tools that exist out there?
Okay. So some of the tools that I have explored, they did have the mood and everything, right? But we are, the biggest thing we are doing is we are a Gmail plugin, right? I did not find any Gmail plugin that exists in the market currently. So either, you click it, and then the generated message might get into your draft, and then you can, maybe edit it there itself, right? But you have to switch in between tabs. So that is not at all the case with Buzzmail. The other thing is it works with every browser. So right now I am using Firefox, right? A lot of people use Safari, a lot of people use Chrome as well, right? But Buzzmail works with every browser. It also works with mobile phone app, right? So if you want to reply using your mobile app, your Gmail mobile app, it becomes difficult, right? You'll have to go to a website, copy it, generate it there. You have to give them prompt as well. So you're not even giving prompts here, right? So Buzzmail is automatically reading and taking the incoming email as a prompt, and it generates a reply. So you're basically just clicking on generate reply. You're selecting it, and that's it. Basically, that's I think that's how we are different.
Wow, that's really nice. I like that. I like the differentiation to say we are the first, or we are the leader in Gmail plugins for ChatGPT responses. So the idea of kind of like taking your AI bot and niching it down to kind of add specific value to a specific group of people. And you can say for the people that work in Gmail and respond in the browser all the time, we have the perfect platform for you to speed up your response times, reduce the number of grammatical errors in your emails, and have a more consistent tone across our organization, where all of our reps don't seem like totally different people. We are interacting with our customers in a unified, singular tone. And that could almost be a prompt style you could have too. You could say like, set my organizational tone. And then it's like, okay, when the workers kind of use it, or then it could be like, hey, set the tone for my company. And then the response is written by, I guess, the managers of the company, or it's not even the response, right? It's the tone and the style of the response is written by the manager. So they can say, hey, we want our employees to respond in a sharp tone or a fun tone. We want it to be short and concise, or sometimes managers want to be more verbose to give the feeling that they're offering a lot of value, a lot of response, or a lot of time is spent responding to the client, so they feel they kind of that concierge white glove service. So there's so many cool opportunities with this plugin. And what's really nice is with the Gmail plugin is it's immediately accessible to so many people. One thing I was curious about is what would be the steps that somebody would have to take to install your plugin?
So we are yet in the process of publishing the plugin. So once it is up, you can directly add it from, you can download it. So it'll automatically, come into your Gmail thing, and then you can, just log in once. It'll be up and running. You just have to add it.
Gotcha.
Okay. I see not only in customer support, for example, but in really a lot of various industries chances for this. So like, for example, my partner is a physiotherapist, and she does all her appointments online through Gmail. But it takes time for people like this to write their emails, which is not their thing. They don't like to use a computer. They don't like to use a phone. They don't like to write in certain languages. If this tool is available for these groups, it's super easy. It's a 2-click response, and then maybe if you can connect your Google Calendar to the Buzzmail, that the Buzzmail goes and check what's availability for me, and then they get an email. I need services. Can you give me a date? When can we have an appointment and consultation? And the mail can also automatically check a calendar. That would be a cool addition too.
Yeah. So we have been also thinking about adding, connecting it with calendar. So that's another thing we are yet to explore. But yes, definitely that's a very, very great idea. It'll be like a complete package, right?
Yeah.
You don't even have to open your calendar then, because it will read your
exactly.
calendar and tell you if it is available or not. Right?
It's Calendly on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it so much. So I'm just creating I just want to make sure that I get notified. So I made oops, one second, sorry. I made a small event here, just to track it. So whenever you come out with it, either feel free to write in the ChatGPT group, or even submit the event there too. Is there a beta? Yeah, Charles and Nikita can answer, but she was saying earlier that it's going to be coming out. Nikita, did you say kind of next month was the plan, in 1 month?
Yeah, the plan is in 1 month.
Gotcha.
So I think I'll be attending every week this session. So it seems like I'll keep you updated about the release. So
Yeah. And we love to see the product updates too, right? It's
yeah.
and just kind of, and what are the what, I guess obviously you're so close to being launching an alpha version. What are kind of the main complications to releasing it right now, or what's kind of on your mind?
So Gmail has a lot of a very, very long and a tedious procedure to, just to publish a plugin. So we are doing that and figuring that out. And not a lot of information is available online on how to publish your plugin. So it is a little bit of challenge right now. So we are looking into that and doing that as well, because it asks for terms and condition and a lot of paperwork. So we've started doing that. Just yesterday we started doing that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest challenge.
Gotcha. And I appreciate that you're giving yourself enough time to kind of go through the approval process, because some of these guys you'd hope they'd approve it in a day, and then it goes like a week, and you're like, and then they come back with a small issue. And you're like, okay.
They do assign like a person to you. They will review the app and everything, and they'll review the landing page and everything, and that's how they approve it. So it's a difficult process, I would say. It's not very easy.
What? Yeah, that's amazing. And then what outside of your app, what other kind of AI tools have you been seeing that are impressing you?
So just today I was seeing an AI tool. I'll tell you that was quite actually interesting. They are also about to launch. They haven't launched it yet, but it's a very it's basically a customer research analysis tool. So that is quite interesting. So they'll take the entire data and analyze it and give you the insights and everything in just a click. That's what I heard. I haven't seen the landing page, or I haven't checked it out completely, but that sounded interesting. It would reduce a lot of time and energy, right?
Yeah. And then Charles, do you have a mic or a camera?
Hey guys, I'm back.
He's back. How are you, man?
Hi.
Yeah, so Nikita, we don't have to kind of go through it over.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Charles.
Hi, Charles.
Nice. Okay, well then I'll just ask the question instead of typing. Save myself a couple of keystrokes. So as far as the plugin that you're developing, do you foresee a need for maybe some training for project managers to then be able to teach their team, coach the team to get the proper responses for integrating ChatGPT with Gmail? Or is it more intuitive based? Do you think that the teams will say, well, this is our use case, and we'll decide the best way to respond directly with the people that we speak?
Charles, are you asking about responses?
I am. Unless I'm missing the idea.
So your voice was breaking in between a little. There is, yeah. So I got you. So the responses, basically, we are keeping it very formal. The prompt that we have given, like by a default tone and reply generation, we have asked for like a reply to email and a formal reply. So that is by default right now. We might add mood and a tone eventually, but right now it is formal, and it will generate a formal reply.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And what's kind of how did you get into the AI, or how did you first learn about it, and where do you see the future going for AI, Nikita?
So my husband introduced me to ChatGPT, and I started using it. I am not a tech person, so I'm not a very I'm not very tech oriented as well, I would say. But ChatGPT was very, very impressive, and it I started using it on daily basis. Like I really use it. So every time I used to Google something, instead of doing that, I am asking ChatGPT to answer my question, because with Google, what happens is a lot of time the websites that are answering your questions are not very not very convincing or not very reliable a lot of times. But with ChatGPT, it feels like the answers, whatever they're giving, is quite reliable. You can trust those answers as well. So yeah, that's how I got introduced because of my husband. He is a developer, so he keeps exploring these things and he knows about AI and ChatGPT and everything. So yeah, that's how I got introduced. And I do believe that ChatGPT is going to be, AI in general, I think is going to be the future because it's very impressive. And I also believe that they are also continuously improving their model and everything as well, right? So it is eventually going to give great answers and great information. It does write stories for you, and those stories are also really good. So that's how I tried it basically.
Will teams be able to change the parameters for the tool when they install the plugin, for example? Or is it can you only click the generate button? Or is there a way to change the settings of the prompt that's being asked to rewrite the email?
So we're generating it again. We don't have the option right now to change the tone or just edit a little bit part of it.
Yeah.
Not like that right now. It will generate an entire new reply.
But for example, like we previously said, for managers, for example, who want to make it look like a long email that it put in a lot of effort and very formal, for example, is there a way that if I want to generate this type of response, can I change these settings before generating, or should I, or like?
So right now we don't have that right now, but it's actually Chris gave us an excellent idea of adding word limit to it. We can probably add the number of words you want the answer to be in, so that can be added.
It's not, it's not even the word. It's not even the word limit. Like the word limit is one thing of like a million things that you can probably think of, and it's a funny thing because it changes on the day. Like, so one day I might wake up, or it could change on the client too. So a certain client, you're like, hey, like give them a 1-sentence response, and another one could give me a summary, but then it could go into like make it more lighthearted, or add in a joke, or add in a funny saying at the end, or remind them that the holidays are coming up, or wish them well on Diwali. Like there's 1,000 things that you might want to say. So I think Rick is kind of leaning to the kind of brilliant idea that it's really giving control of the person that is using this plugin to kind of control the prompt that's being asked before you have the response generated. Like even at all, or right after for a follow-up response to say like, hey, regenerate the response I got was okay, but please regenerate the entire response with these like 5 parameters. Giving control to the manager, I think, will keep the net very wide open for the people that want to use your plugin and not deter people from using their app because it's not getting them what they want. Because if people don't like the response, what they will do is they will go right to ChatGPT and they're going to uninstall your plugin. Right? They're going to be like, hey, like, look, this plugin doesn't give me what I want. So as long as you give people what they want, they will continue to use your plugin. They will share your plugin.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So for example, I'm thinking now out of like a user experience perspective, if you give it like a bar with 2 sides or 2 options, like formal, informal, short, medium, long, professional, or whatever, some other inputs, like if you give these 3 options or 5 options already as a basic option that you selected, and then it automatically puts it into the prompt that is being asked, like then the prompt will probably say, can you generate a response for this email, and then just the 3 things that's being chosen into the prompt, and then it will generate it. It gives the user much more flexibility.
We can also probably give like a small bar where they can give input, maybe a few keywords or a few details they want to include in their email. That can also be given in that bar that will be added, right? So yeah, that can be done as well.
Rick, I think you touched on a really big aspect of some of the apprehension that people have for ChatGPT is because it's a sandbox and they don't quite know what to do with it. So they're looking at it and they're using very surface level prompts, and they're not at a place of understanding to where they can say, okay, I have this kind of tone. Say, for example, an angry customer sends an email, and I want to go after the points that they've made in the email while deflecting the anger and turning it into a place of rapport. So to be able to say, okay, well, I have these parameters that I'm starting with, saying, okay, inflection happy, response middling. It allows for the person that's creating the response to be able to then say, hey, here's the things that need to happen in this email. Here's about the places where I need these kind of deflections to go. And at this point in the email, I need to transfer it into more of a solution-based response as opposed to someone who's trying to change the feeling of the person sending the email.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. We can also probably like give them like option to pre-decide their tone and pre-decide things like maybe the manager tone as you were recommending, right? So or
Yeah.
formal.
So I might have missed it, but is it a Gmail plugin for email? Is it Is it mostly for replying to emails, or is it also to write new emails?
Nikita, just quickly, if you just want to share your screen too, I don't know if Carson
Yeah,
saw it.
just a second.
Yeah.
So yes, it is to reply to your emails, the incoming emails. For now, we have done that. Second.
One thing you might want to do, Nikita, too, over time is adding in a I'll mention this. Not even composing, but just keeping a list of all the prompts that people ask. So you can say like, hey, here are some of the most popular prompts that people use to reply to emails, because that in itself is an important piece of data.
Yeah.
Which goes into having sort of a wiki for someone who needs a place to start.
So here is the email, and here's the plugin, right? You click on the plugin, it will read the mail that has been received, right? So this is basically a customer inquiring about late delivery, right? So it will take this mail as a prompt. It will generate reply.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen any other email plugins yet? I remember that I saw one a couple weeks ago on Twitter where they had a couple options to before you reply to select whether you want to reply positively or negatively, or you're mad or you're happy. Huh?
Because I have been looking into Gmail plugins and I did not find any. But
yeah, well, I'm not sure if it was a Gmail, but it was an email plugin, and I believe it was Gmail, but I don't remember the name of the thing. I just saw it on Twitter. I'm following the guy that made it on Twitter, but I don't remember his name. So, but I can send it to you if you didn't know that one yet. If I will see it again,
it would be great if you can send.
It seems like a very useful tool, and I think email is gonna be huge for this, because of course that's something that many people spend a lot of time on every day, right?
Right.
So yeah, of course, I will search it, but yeah.
So yeah, so this is so it generates the reply. Then you can edit the reply as well here, right? And let's say then you select the reply, and you don't have to copy and paste. It automatically comes here on the reply section,
nice.
and you send it.
Yeah, and there you can still edit it, right?
Yeah. It can be edited here. It can be.
Great. Nice. And is it still in development, or did you already publish it somewhere?
So we are still in the process of publishing it.
Yeah,
yes.
Nice.
But
Okay.
we have developed it. It's almost done now.
Mm-hmm. It's a coincidence, but I think today or yesterday I saw something on GitHub about a Gmail extension with ChatGPT as well. It's probably not yours, right? Or did you also put it open source on GitHub.
Sorry?
Did you also put your extension open source on GitHub, or was that another one? Because I saw another Gmail extension on GitHub yesterday or today.
Oh no, no, we have not. Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would love to see the Gmail plugin that we were talking about. If you can find it, you can please, add it here, or you can, maybe.
Yeah. How
send
can
it.
I contact you? How can I reach you?
Yeah. So this so girl in the frame is my Twitter handle.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah.
I'm following. Okay.
Forgive me if it's already been asked, but do you see a possibility for creating templates that the integration can be used?
Hey, Charles, just one small thing, Charles. It's hard to hear your mic. I don't know if you can speak closer or.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Wait,
No, it's okay. We can hear you. It's just that it's very faint and it kind of breaks out a little bit. But feel free to talk for sure. I was just wondering if you had any easy way to kind of fix it. Then I just want to mention that.
I will work on it. Give me just a moment.
Okay.
I think the question was if it would be able to create tickets. Is that correct? For example, if a customer sends in a compliance or compliant, then that it can maybe automated to create a ticket into another customer service, customer relationship management software.
Okay.
That would be a cool addition too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if
that
you
would be.
with, for example, a Zapier integration, and then you go to a Trello or another project management.
Basically, whatever project management tool that
Yeah.
they're using
Yeah.
would redirect it to that. Yeah, that would be unique and great integration as well. I would have to probably ask my husband if that can be done.
It's just some things you can build on top.
Yeah.
We spit ideas here, and then we go build. That's the goal of this conversation.
So how are you gonna be the #1 Gmail extension?
Oh wow, that's interesting question. Honestly, I think the quality of product does matter a lot. So I think we will try to give the best quality possible. And
well, I don't email a lot myself, but I can imagine that it needs to kind of create similar replies to the person that is actually using it, right? Otherwise, it's gonna sound or look maybe fake. Don't you think so? Maybe there's a way you can tell ChatGPT kind of a bit about the person that is trying to write the email before you actually let it write it. Maybe that helps. So more context about the author of the email, basically the person behind the computer.
Yeah.
More context about that. Maybe that could create a better result.
Yeah. That
Nikita, it's interesting, Nikita, as we've all kind of come in here at different times, and we've all experienced almost kind of very similar suggestions to say, hey, like there needs to be some additional prompts. It cannot just be, hey, generate response and that's going to be what I want, because I think everyone here is very intelligent and everyone has their own kind of style of response and own creativity. So to give the power to the person that is asking for the response to allow them to put in their prompt is it's definitely clearly an important use case.
Over things, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I think people want to be able to say, hey, like, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Great feedback, guys. And yeah, all of you gave some amazing suggestions and feedback, and definitely I am going to, I've been taking note of everything, and I will be definitely looking into how to, integrate these suggestions into and how to integrate these feedback into Buzzword. Definitely.
Yeah.
Although to that point, I have used ChatGPT to generate responses based on personas that I've given. I'm sure you guys have as well. But that's definitely something that's capable, especially if you're able to.
Charles, I'm actually your voice is,
Still no good?
I'm
Sorry.
not really able to understand what you're saying. It's really.
I'll go to the chat. Sorry, it's my mic.
What I heard from Charles there was that he has been using ChatGPT to generate some responses.
Right.
So, and then I think he might have got cut off there, but I think he was pointing to the usefulness of something like this, and that it is kind of a common use case for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. We need all these integrations, because now you don't want to go 100 times a day to chat.openai.com, right? You just want to use it everywhere where you already was working, where you were already
Right.
working. Yeah.
A small thing that I found that's getting, especially as ChatGPT works more into my daily workflow, is that the response time is slow, because they want to kind of like mimic that conversational feedback. So it like slowly drips through this response. I'm like, you already know what the response is. just give me the whole response. That little animation is becoming more and more of a drag, even though it's
indeed.
thing.
And I was thinking about that. And have you tried out GPT-3 and compared it with ChatGPT? Because I hear more and more people say that it's actually very similar, although it's not as good probably, but it is also quite good, GPT-3, because the GPT-3 of 2 years ago was not as good, but they have improved it over time a lot. So I think GPT-3 is actually maybe already quite a good choice now, even compared to ChatGPT. And the API response, of course, way faster. So it's way easier to program with it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna try that out today. Actually, I was planning on maybe this evening try to connect with that API and try my platform, because then I can actually do many more prompts at the same time and do run automations and things like that.
And Karsens, if you want to show Nikita what you've been working on too, just screen share. Probably give her some context too, because I'm not even sure Charles has seen yours either.
Yeah, you're right. Well, actually, last week was a bit hectic, so I haven't updated much this week or last week. But I'm working on GPT ideas, or IDE, as you can see. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what it is a collection of different prompts right now. And it's also an integrated developer environment, or you can also even call it just a text editor. And as you can see here, what it does is it's kind of a text editor experience when you set it up, but you first have to set it up locally. So that's the instructions here you can see. And then you can basically run different prompts on your file system. So all the files that you have on your computer, you can just click them to open the files. And then you have the context of that file where you can then add a prompt, like you can then click to do a prompt about that file, right? So you can write a haiku or a quiz or an investor pitch, and you can make your own new prompts as well to add to your prompt database. And then you can just create more prompts that are good for certain content, right? Maybe you're a copywriter or SEO writer, and you can improve your content this way. And you can also do it automated on multiple files at once. So that's the idea, to programmatically improve your own content this way, your own files.
Great. Interesting.
One small, I really like your product, Karsens.
Thanks.
One thing that I was just looking at the difference between the two, asking ChatGPT. So they were saying that GPT-3 is developed by OpenAI. It has a huge data set. It uses 175 billion parameters, which is significantly more than the previous one. High level accuracy, obviously. And then here's the difference, though. It says
but I think. Can I stop you there? Because I think this isn't correct. This isn't factual. I think he is hallucinating actually now. The bot, because they have the same amount of parameters. They just combined different models of GPT-3 to create ChatGPT, plus a lot of human feedback. You can read that on their blog. But yeah, like it was not trained on data after 2019, so it is not able to know this.
Right.
So it wouldn't be able to know what ChatGPT is even. So it seems completely
It's made up.
hallucinated,
Yeah.
because it's also not
Yeah.
developed by Microsoft, right?
Mm.
It
Yeah,
says
that's
it's
very interesting.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try today or tomorrow if ChatGPT or GPT-3 is as good, or probably it's worse, but it maybe for some use cases it can of course already be good enough. There's many use cases already, and there's already of course a lot of startups that are using it. But of course they will also come out with an API with ChatGPT at some point.
You know what would be nice, actually? A nice product, especially as these AIs continue to develop, would be to give it like almost like a standardized test of 100 prompts and see how each one responds to it.
Yeah, like
Right?
a prompt or like a AI model benchmark.
Exactly, like a comparison tool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would
Because
be
right
great.
now I have no idea, and all these things have new things all the time, or even like
Yeah.
there's summarizer tools and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
it's like which one is the best? I have no idea. It would
Yeah.
be very nice to know.
I'm in the process right now on creating kind of an API for myself, an SDK with all the different AI models. So that's why I'm like I already had ChatGPT and Whisper for speech, but there's all these different modalities, of course. So you have speech to text, image to text, text to text, and then text to image, and then text to speech, right? And there's
Yeah.
a lot more different niche AI models. And what I'm doing now is creating an SDK to put them all together, so you can easily chain them together. You can make whole pipelines more easily.
Do you can you recommend like any good text to speech AI model or any platform?
Text to
Like,
speech.
yeah.
Yes. I
I
came
don't want them
across.
to be speaking really fast, because that's one of the biggest problem that I see with all these AI models, right? They speak really, really fast. I wanted a
Yeah.
like a slow-paced one.
Well, I am seeing that the tortoise. It's actually tortoise text to speech. I will send the link, and it's insanely good. And you can run it locally if you have a good GPU. GPU. And you can also run it in the cloud. But this one has a really good quality for text to speech. It's almost too good, and the author of it almost didn't want to release it because he thought it would be too good, and people would use it in a bad way. But in the end, he did release it, but he didn't release the way how he made it, because he's afraid of misuse, basically. But it's insanely good. You can see you can just see the examples there, and it's very human-like, and you can do emotions and everything.
What's that one called, Carson?
It's called. I put the link in the chat. It's called Tortoise text to speech.
In what chat?
Yeah, sorry. You know what happened? It's for some reason your socket broke. So it's that one, right? It's the Neo BJB.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know why your socket broke. But
I don't know what that means, but should I post it
it's
again?
just no. It's you know what it's. See how on your username it has these numbers right now. I think if you leave the call and come back in, it'll be fixed. It's just I don't know what happened on connection.
Should I refresh?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be actually good.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. The challenges of making a video startup. Yeah, you're good now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I shared it in the chat. It's text to speech. It takes a very long time to generate, but the cool thing is you can train it on your own voice. So you can type anything and it will say it in your voice, but it takes like for one sentence, it takes a couple minutes to generate. It's a very heavy model. It's very hard to, it takes a long time. That's why it's called Tortoise. Yeah, It's very cool. It's very cool. So I came across that one, yeah, but I'm trying to find the best ones for every modality right now. That's something I'm trying to do and gather all the best ones in one place, basically.
I think that what you said there is very interesting too, where it's not just having an AI to rule them all. At the moment, there are trained AIs for specific use cases, kind of
Course,
as you're
yeah.
saying for each modality. And I think that's
Yeah.
very interesting. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people are missing out
and
on
there's
that.
always gonna be new models, right? So OpenAI has the best one now for text to text, but it might be what's it called? The other one, the open for the people, the other company that has Stable Diffusion right now. They are also working on a text to text, and it might be better. We don't know, but it will come out in like February or March. Yeah, it might be better, and then we all have to move to that one, and we have to adapt because the best one, and hopefully it will be open source, by the way, and we will be able to run it on our own computer and on our own servers.
In what way do you see another solution be better than ChatGPT?
There's many ways. For one, we are not even able to change the human feedback. They are training it, and they are choosing what the chatbot must believe. You know, there's like values, norms, and values that the chatbot has, and we cannot change that. It's hard coded into the model. But another thing could be the performance, the quality, the speed, the temperature. There's many things that you can do differently, basically.
But if we go to
An easy one might be also just updated data as well, right? Right now, it's as Carson was saying, the ChatGPT is up to 2019 or 2021, whatever it is.
Yeah,
so
you
you
can
have
if
like
you make a
real
smaller
time
one.
data.
You could, for example, every day create a new model. What if you did that, and then you have it up to date, up to yesterday, every day?
Yeah, like new restaurants in a city,
Yeah.
new sporting events. When new
Yeah.
deals come out,
Mhm.
give me there's so many cool things with
That
live data.
might be a thing too. And then there's also another thing, that's the context size. That's a very big limitation. It has like a maximum context of 4,000 words input, or 4,000 tokens, which is about 3,500 words. And that's a very big limitation for many use cases. So I think that's definitely also something, and memory in general, because context size is kind of memory, right? So it can only remember about 3,500 words before it starts forgetting.
What's crazy about it is that it's cool being like, we're basically only going to continue to see progress as long as something insane doesn't happen. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
It's like literally every day, just by doing nothing, other people in the world are doing crazy things, and then we can kind of pick our spots as well.
Yeah, I do wonder what will happen once the people, there might be some pushback, of course, too, right? For example, with Bitcoin, it also gets forbidden in many countries, and many governments and banks are against it. And maybe there's also going to be pushback with this, with language models, because they are afraid that it will transform society too much in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're so used to being like, hey, you can just roll it back, but some of this stuff, like, you can't roll it back. It's like, like, as you said, where it's like, if you put it onto your local,
they could shut it down, right? And currently, of course, there's still GPT API, but what if everything from OpenAI would be shut down tomorrow? Then the second alternative is not as good, and then it will really hurt the thing, until maybe there's someone that makes a really good one that's open source. Then it will be really hard to stop, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's a famous hacker named Sammy Kamkar, and Sammy created this bug for MySpace called I Love Sammy, and very famous. And one of the things about basically that he did is that he was trying to become, I think, popular with the girls when he was younger, and he was saying like, hey, look, I have this MySpace, like other people have more followers, so I want to get more followers. And so what he did was he originally wrote a bot to say, hey, people can follow me. So it's like, if they mention me, they'll automatically follow me. Then he updated the script, and with some kind of injection code with JavaScript, to say anytime somebody lands on my page or follows me, or somebody else follows them, it's kind of this like exponential kind of following graph. They all follow Sammy Kamkar. So in one night, he reached like 1 million followers on MySpace, and like it was one of the most like largest social media hacks, especially for the time, because it was during MySpace. It was a crazy thing.
Cool. But what do you think? Do you think it will only grow and there will not be pushback from the governments and other companies, maybe? Or do you think it could happen?
I think certainly there will be pushback. I think the discussion will open up quite quickly. I think that people especially governments, are probably already talking about it. Even Elon, he was talking on Joe Rogan, and he's like, "Hey, look, like we need to." I told them to slow down AI, almost in this kind of like pre-apocalyptic kind of like concern, being like, the cat is out of the bag. I've seen the future, and this is not going to end well. So like even him, like
he was on Joe Rogan again. When was that?
A while ago. No,
okay.
Or like a few months ago. But even then, he was talking about OpenAI and just saying like, look, like the biggest thing I'm scared about is open general intelligence, blah blah blah. And so the problem is even for him who wants to control it, it's still a race, right? And so the second you have a race, people kind of almost get blinded, and they're hungry enough until they kind of eat too much.
But do you think instead of pushback from other companies, do you think there can be increase in competition? Maybe they also introduce their own, AI model, something like ChatGPT.
I actually think the increased competition is the biggest concern, right? When you have the people competing with each other, they basically put blinders on themselves. They see very, very focused. They don't really think about the kind of repercussions. The first goal is to win, and then they worry about kind of like providing a share to other people. And you can see that with even plugins and kind of companies spinning up in the AI space already, where people are kind of like very headstrong. They're just kind of like, I'm not going to consider anything else. I just want to get there first. And I think it's almost human nature that way.
And what OpenAI is doing really well is the ethics side. So they have a whole department on that, and this of course takes a lot of time and money to get it right. And I think you're right that if there will be more competition, it might end up that there will be a lack of AI ethics. But I think also transparency is also good in a way, because it's really hard to say how that will play out, because if you are more transparent, you can invite other people to be ethic about it too, because it's more transparent. But you can also invite people to do bad things with it. So I don't know. But I believe that people are good in general. So let's hope that they won't do something too crazy with it.
I agree with you. Yeah, I'm happy that you brought up OpenAI's ethics community as well. Right? They've been quite kind of forthcoming and kind of open with kind of how they see things. And even with this AI bot, it will respond quite a few times saying like, or not quite a few times, but sometimes they'll say like, hey, I don't have access to that data, or I don't touch topics like that, which is obviously a good thing, as kind of we have the training wheels on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and what Charles is saying about the walled garden between AI devs, I think that could be happening. That's certainly what OpenAI is not sharing a lot, on what they are doing. So they of course they do have a blog, but they don't, for example, share the code. They don't share how they trained the ChatGPT, and like not very in depth at least. So I definitely think they are not very open, although they are called OpenAI. But I think there's also pushback. There are other companies like the one, what's it called again, from Stable Diffusion, and they are very open source.
Yeah, OpenRail.
Yeah. Sorry?
I think it's OpenRail, right?
OpenRail? Oh yeah, I didn't. Stability AI, is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stability AI. So I think this one is open source, and I think the one that they will make will be open source. So then hopefully if the best one is the one that's open source, which could happen, right? Because that makes it more transparent, which makes it possible for more people to improve and iterate on it. And then we won't have such a big walled garden, maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, the second you open up to everyone, then you get the good and the bad.
Yeah, but it all depends. Like if the next model from Stability AI will not be as good, then they won't get any attention, and then maybe it won't be ever as good as the one of OpenAI. So currently it's a race, I think. So I'm really curious to see how good it's going to be, the one of Stability.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's able to keep up with OpenAI, because obviously they are raking in all the money right now.
Totally right. Yeah, they just had that, like, I'm sure most of it's Reddit, but just for kind of like record keeping, they just had a $29 billion valuation. Right?
Yeah,
It's just great.
exactly.
It's just going on a straight rocket ship.
Yeah.
They also aren't making money. That's just their valuation.
Yeah, you're right.
That
You're
should be
right.
noted
Yeah.
that they
Not yet,
lose
but they will
over probably 5 million a day.
Yeah.
Come on,
Just
Clay,
running operating expenses.
We don't want to talk about that, Clay.
But they'll need more people to give money, so that will keep. I mean, if there's any upside, which I don't think there's any upside that you can participate in ourselves, like as far as like an investment standpoint. So I usually don't research too heavy unless there's personal upside, but they'll keep having to raise if they keep burning. So I think a lot of people are willing to contribute just because they see this as, more hundreds of billions of dollar opportunity versus what they're currently at. But you see like companies like Jasper and these really early AI startups that basically became a unicorn faster than any other companies have ever become a unicorn. So the valuations are there, and they have revenue models. It's just what's the founder's name? He joked in 2019 when someone asked what is the revenue model for OpenAI, and he said once it gets good enough, we'll ask it.
What Sam Altman
and he's
said
like
that?
he's like a super serious dude. So like that was not a joke. He was like, we don't know. We're gonna burn all this money from VCs until it's good enough, and then we're gonna ask how to monetize itself. So that's a pretty crazy idea to say in 2019, but that was kind of his mindset.
Yeah, I guess we could even play around with that now too, and just see what it says now. It's what's a crazy thing about traditional finance is that sometimes you'll invest money into something, and it kind of can get evaporated. Like a poor investment just disappears. But with ChatGPT or AI, it's kind of like you invest it, and like maybe the investors lose money, but for society, we will now have this kind of new platform that is basically never going to go anywhere, and we'll always have it.
Yeah.
Altman is like he says this in a lot of interviews, is like right now we're kind of at a point where energy is and networking costs and things like that is just so expensive to keep up with it. But with AI, he believes that like new solutions will come up for more sustainable, cheap energy that will accelerate such in a fast way that's kind of where that innovation comes. Where one interview he said like, and this is kind of Elon's point of being fearful of it, is like, how would society react if we had 1,000 years of scientific discovery within 1 year? Because although that's great in theory, we wouldn't be able to keep up with actually like completing what's needed from like a hardware and energy point until like an infrastructure is built. So knowing that you can cure certain diseases but not being able to do it because you physically cannot operate fast enough, or having knowledge of certain things that exist that can solve world hunger or whatever, like all these things, like what kind of chaos will that actually cause from like a society standpoint versus like engineering and science? Because you're going to start advancing and being able to do things at a rate that took 100x as long, and how are people going to feel, if someone has cancer and they still can't, get treated for it, but they know that they can pay a certain amount because things like bio and other things, hardware, things that are convenience or maybe life-changing, those are still going to be super high price, just like a phone or a computer is super high price at first, because it's like, unless it scales to tons and tons of people, to pay for the development of sacrificing, taking people off developing other things, then it's going to be very, very costly at first, kind of like how it's super costly to run AI at first, but it will get pretty much, he thinks, net near zero, and energy costs will trend there too.
Yeah, do you think that will that will change rapidly, energy costs, because they're doing a lot with fusion right now, right? Do you think that will become
that's the biggest
big change in the game?
That's what like the biggest predictable thing is, but I think in general with AI, once it gets to a point, whether that's like singularity level or just the ability to run on its own versus because like right now people are essentially using and training models, but like once it can have a directive to train itself and kind of think based on previous prompts, you can basically create a digital researcher that can just research 24/7 around the clock. But like fusion is like the obtainable thing in our minds. It's something that we know about. I think there's a lot more about energy that we have no clue about, and I feel like those are the things that are going to be like the more revolutionary things. I think fusion could be extremely revolutionary, and AI could probably help get there faster. It's just it's still like a cost thing. Like it's still cheaper to use coal, so people are going to use coal. It's still cheaper to use oil, so people are going to use oil. Although that's like the good thing to do until like the economics work out in the favor of those technologies, people will still, ultimately use what's available, and that's what kind of like stumps the massive growth.
Yeah, right.
But it's something that doesn't need as much within like decentralized or like grid systems, whatever. There's like grids that need to be connected, or I can't remember what it's called, but it's like things that need to be connected versus things that are wireless. So like satellites, for example, Starlink is something that's new, as networks previously had to be ground connected. Like the waves had to be pretty much omnidirectional from certain towers, and now you have like this way to have a node essentially in the middle of nowhere that's connected. So the same thing with electricity, it needs a grid. So like the whole Tesla, like Nikola Tesla, like the gridless electricity. So like those type of things are what creates transfer electricity that's wireless. And a lot of people compare that from an economics standpoint to like Bitcoin as like, it's not useful in a form of electricity transfer, but economically people can say, hey, this costed this much energy, and now it's a store of that energy transferring. But like until it gets to a physical point where energy can be transferred without grid, fusion is in the same spot as like
so it's
anywhere
more
else.
Like decentralized energy, you could call it.
Yeah, because like wind, if you're next to a stream, like water and like solar, like you can theoretically be off the grid and use those type of things. Fusion is going to be similar to gas and everything else, because you're going to need to have a centralized point where you're able to produce all the energy and the heat, and then you're going to need to have that connected to the grid, where like other sustainable energies, you can have grid systems that are built off of other grids. And like Texas basically having their energy shut off every storm, that's like kind of the problem there, or Puerto Rico being wiped out by hurricanes. It's like their grid is not connected to main grids that have those production sources. So whether the transportation of energy is through something super crazy that we don't know about, like Tesla level, where it's wireless, or if it's like, you know, putting batteries on high-powered trains or grounding lines through the ocean, whatever the way to build that network, I feel like the infrastructure still needs to be modified or built for like fusion to be net zero or like near zero cost.
Hey Clay, on that topic of energy, one thing that it's kind of like I don't have a good enough grasp on it, so I could just kind of be blowing smoke. But there's this idea that we could kind of like a lot of times when lightning bolts strike, there's an immense amount of energy in these lightning bolts, but then it basically just gets grounded and sent to the earth, and we never capture it. But there's that idea where it's like if you can kind of capture the energy from a lightning bolt into a battery, you could kind of have enormous amounts of energy. I wonder if that kind of plays in, or if that's even a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been something that people have theorized a lot over time. And, you know, a lot of buildings like skyscrapers have this where, you know, they're not absorbed, but they have the lightning rods to kind of disperse that energy because they're have a higher likelihood of being hit. And usually the likelihood of being hit is the reason why those things don't happen. But it's just like so much energy in such a fast way that it's impossible to store it. They can harness it and they can use it, but they can't store it. And that's one of the big problems with energy is we actually don't need any more energy. We produce more energy we can even use in the world. And majority of that energy is wasted. It's completely unused. It's just we don't have ways to store it. And part of that is, you know, we might not need to store it, but we need to store it to transport it. So either we need to find a way to create an infrastructure that it doesn't need to be stored to be transported, or we need to find a way to have storage. But right now it's like, it's always kind of boils down to a cost thing because everyone's, you know, capitalist. It's easier and cheaper to produce the energy than it is to store the energy. So that's kind of why like fusion, you might be able to, well, one, it's like going to be completely clean. So that's like one of the motives, which isn't really something that stops people in the first place because the biggest energy creator is still coal. But it's like the lightning thing, you know, people have done like artificial storm centers and things like that where they can create, you know, environments. You just need a large area to kind of create your own storm pattern. And you could kind of make that in an enclosed area or a harnessed area that you can maybe try to do that. I just think the main issue right now is like, how do you actually store that? Because one lightning bolt can power a city for, I don't remember what the timeline is, but it's like a month or something like that, like New York City.
Yeah, so wild. Sorry guys, my headphones are dying, so I'm probably gonna take off. But I'm gonna quickly stop recording too, and then we kind of publish our